All right, folks, Vitek here from Wani. With us today, we have one and only Mike Portnoy. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. We have a lot to talk, but before I begin, I have one question, which only you can answer, and that is, why is Mike Portnoy so fucking good?
I can't answer that because I don't know the answer. I don't even believe the question. So you'd have to ask somebody else that one.
Now, honestly, been following you for decades now. And obviously I'm not the only one who's been part of your journey. How does it feel right now? You have a new project, and it's a great band. How are, at this point of time in your career, how's the feeling inside you that you just released an album, fantastic response, people are going apeshit with the new music, with the lineup? How's the overall feeling at the moment?
Look, I've been feeling great for years, to be honest. Every band and album and tour I've been doing the last, many years now, they're all incredibly fulfilling and exciting. And, I don't know. Sons of Apollo is just the next in a string of bands that I'm incredibly proud of and excited about.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, it's a great lineup, and the album, is something that we're very, very proud of. And how do I feel? I feel blessed. I feel very grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for being able to do what I do for a living and being able to work with so many amazing musicians and artists. It's really an honor for me, and I just have a lot of gratitude for it.
Absolutely. I can totally understand. Mike, I want to start with the expectations you had with this band. Obviously, this is your first full-fledged progressive metal band after you left Dream Theater. Now, with such press coverage, such a great lineup, as we already discussed, one definitely expected a quality metal music from you guys. But what were your expectations with this band in general?
Well, my expectations on a quality level, I think they were, pretty much what we came up with. I knew it was going to be an amazing band of musicians, and I knew that there would be good chemistry because, I worked with Derek before in Dream Theater and other things, and I've worked with Billy before in the Winery Dogs and other things, and I've worked with Bumblefoot before in Metal Allegiance and other things. So I knew the chemistry would be there. I had expectations of it being a great band, and I knew the music would be great. I would say the only thing that ended up being very different than what I expected was the style. The very first day we entered the studio, I put like a tease on my social media, and I put the hashtag Prog Metal Supergroup.
Absolutely.
Because, initially I kind of expected it. I expected it to be a traditional progressive metal band in the vein of, what I used to do in Dream Theater. And to be honest, once we started writing and making this record, it went in so many different directions. It does have a lot of progressive metal elements, but it also has a lot of classic rock elements and classic hard rock elements and metal. So honestly, I would say that's the only thing that was different from my expectations is the musical direction, and I think it ended up being a much greater thing than I ever expected. I think I kind of wish that I hadn't pigeonholed it to that hashtag on the first day, because everybody had this expectation in their mind of what it would sound like, and then we came out with a song like Coming Home. This is just one side of the band, and everybody was like, wait, this isn't prog metal, but, that's just one side of what the band ended up becoming.
Absolutely, because that was my next question. That I spoke to Derek a couple of weeks ago, and he did tell me that the first song that he brought in was Gods of the Sun. So with that being composed by him, it would have been very much clear that this is going to be a progressive metal album. But as you guys kept working on it, with all the influences and all the different directions, when it comes to your background, Derek's, or even Bumblefoot's, it was pretty much clear to you guys that this is not only a prog metal album, but it's much more than that. And at that point of time, were you concerned about pushing it a lot outside the prog zone, or just kind of maintaining a balance between the progressive metal and the other elements like classic rock and hard rock?
To be honest, I didn't really concern myself at all with it. We just, let the music be what it wanted to be. We just, as much as Derek and I have this progressive background, especially together, having both been together in Dream Theater, even when we were in Dream Theater together, he and I were the guys in the band that loved Kiss, and we loved Van Halen, and we loved, Ozzy, and more, traditional hard rock or classic rock. So, I knew that I knew that we had different elements and different backgrounds, and then especially getting Jeff Scott Soto integrated into the mix, I knew he was going to bring a whole other level of accessibility because he comes from a more AOR background. Right. But I think all these different elements are what make the band really, unique and the music of such quality. I think, but in answer to your question, I didn't want to fight anything that was coming to the plate. I wanted to welcome it all, welcome it all into the melting pot. So there wasn't any kind of, predetermined, direction that needed to be steered into or away from. We kind of just let it be what it wanted to be.
Awesome. That's really great. And, it felt really reassuring to me that the chemistry between you and Derek, I hardly felt that there was a hiatus. I mean, you guys have worked together in probably, a decade ago, but the way this album has come out, there's an easygoing nature, and something that brings me back to this album time and time again to listen to is the memorable factor. And that shows a unique camaraderie between you guys as a group. How was your experience working with Derek now, let's say as compared to working with him during the Falling Infinity days?
There was very little difference, just a little more gray hair on my head. But other than that, it was, the same chemistry. And even back then in the 90s, he and I were always like the clowns of the band and the rockers of the band. And that really hasn't changed. We're just as immature and obnoxious as ever. Derek is one of the most, funny, like sarcastic in a funny way, people I've ever met. He's just got a way of mocking everybody and being very, very pompous, but in a very funny way, in a very comical way.
And he makes history every day.
Right. I mean, but that's the way he's always been. Even back when he was in Dream Theater, he was on stage with the lava lamps and the feathered boas and coming out and doing Mickey Lemons and the Migraines, and we would do Nightmare Cinema. That was like, the personality in the band.
Indeed. Indeed.
And some people can't handle it. Like I see a lot of his interviews like stirring up a lot of controversy, for the Dream Theater fans. But the reality is that's Derek. He's always been that way. He's always been, my nickname for him is Derek Sherinian. And we're the Del Fulvio brothers. That's just our nature. So you put us together in the same room, and we're going to have a good time.
Absolutely. A bit about Derek, which I like, is he is not a technical keyboard player, but is a very heavy keyboard player. And I mean heavy in a sense that the way he writes it, and that's the beauty of it. Instead of going full on, technical vanquery, he focused more on the heavy elements. Is that something that you feel more related to as compared to working with someone like Jordan Rudess?
Well, I mean, they're both great keyboard players, but they're both very, very different. It was pretty obvious even in Dream Theater. Jordan is a technical wizard. That's his nickname.
Indeed.
But Derek is a rocker. Derek doesn't care about the technical stuff, and he obviously has made no bones about not liking all the gadgets and things like that. He wants a B3 and a Mellotron and his gnarly heavy lead sound.
Old school.
It's been said a million times before, but I'll say it again. Derek's biggest influences are guitar players, not keyboard players.
Indeed.
His heroes. He grew up with Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads and Yngwie. posters on the wall, not keyboard players. And, of that element about him, especially, in this band, you have this ridiculous guitar playing mad scientist with a double neck and a fretless guitar.
Right.
But then you have a keyboard player that plays the keyboards like a guitar, and then you have a bass player that plays the bass
like a guitar.
So, between those three guys, it's a three-headed monster, in terms of those three guys.
Absolutely, man. That's really great to hear. I want to talk about Jeff. I mean, like you said, he comes from an AOR background, but, there is an element of heaviness when it comes to Mike Portnoy's drums. And I expect the singer to maintain the same energy level. And that's where Jeff, really hit the bullseye. I felt that his vocals on the music which you guys created was a perfect match, like on 100% synchronization for me as a metal fan. So how was it for you having Jeff on board? I mean, obviously fans had concerns about how the singer's going to be, and Jeff just proved them that it's 100% like successful.
Well, I had 100% confidence in Jeff, and to be honest, I had to step up to bat for him, with the other band members and even the record company, because they had this, predetermined stereotype in their head of what kind of singer he was,
right.
Especially based on his AOR stuff. But I've toured with Jeff. His solo band was the opening band for the Wani a couple years ago, and I knew that he would knock it out of the park. I knew he had all of these other different shades and characters to him. I've seen him sing heavy stuff with Yngwie. I've seen him sing, all the Queen, Freddie Mercury stuff. I knew he had all of these different abilities inside of him, not to mention the fact that he's a great frontman on stage.
Right.
So I had 100% confidence in Jeff, and I really went to bat for him to.
Totally. That sounds really great. How about the tour? I know Derek told me that you guys will be on a cruise in February. Is there anything planned at the moment?
Yeah, the entire year is getting planned right now. Yeah,
wow.
We'll start on Cruise to the Edge and make our debut there, but from there we plan on going out in America shortly after that, and then we already have a lot of summer European festivals that are already booked, and they just haven't been announced yet. But basically the routing is happening now to take us all around the world all throughout the year. So all of that information will be getting released very soon.
Awesome. That's really great. When you guys are going to start touring, and, the current, the Dream Theater tour where they're playing A Change of Seasons will be over, would you consider playing that with Sons of Apollo since you and Derek recorded that song together?
I'm not going to give away much of the set list right now.
I get it.
I get it. Them playing it has kind of taken the wind out of the sails for me. I mean, I really intended on playing it with the Shattered Fortress. Mm-hmm. That would have been the real appropriate place to be playing that song, which is so personal to me. I don't know if it's appropriate for Sons of Apollo. To be honest, I'd rather spend those 20 minutes playing other stuff that's more Derek. To be honest, even though Derek recorded A Change of Seasons, it was written mainly in 1989 when Kevin was in the band. So mm-hmm. I would rather, if we're going to tackle Dream Theater material with Derek, I would rather tackle the material that he was more a part of the writing of.
Absolutely, absolutely. Last one for you, Mike. A very simple question. Everyone's asking you about that, when are you going to work with Mikael Akerfeldt of OPETH? But I want to ask you, will fans ever see you work with Devin Townsend in a project?
I would love to. I mean, Devin and I have known each other for years, and he even came up and joined PSMS for one song on Progressive Nation at Speed, but that was more of a parody. But that's Devin's nature, and that's why I love him so much. Look, I'm always open to it. To be honest with you, and I hate to see the headline already, but there was some talk years ago. I tried to wrangle both Mikael Akerfeldt and Devin Townsend up together, and the three of us did some email exchanges talking about the possibility. It was something that I presented to both of those guys, but at that point, Devin was just interested, but just unavailable, just too busy. So, that's just a hypothetical scenario that I presented to those guys to see if we can get something off the ground many years ago, but it never happened. So, but I'm always open to it. I love Devin and I love Michael, and would work with either of them at any point.
Absolutely. Mike, thanks once again. I've been waiting here in India since the Neil Morse gig, and I hope that you guys bring Sons of Apollo to this part of the world.
Yeah, I hope so too.
All right, Mike, thank you so much, man. I'm going to catch you on tour definitely, and take care, okay?
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.